So I'm going to let you take the floor, Mohammed, and make sure that I'm managing any questions as they come through, mate.
So guys, hi everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. No more GHL breaches happening.
Let's stay away from them.
Yeah. All right. So basically, I'm a techpreneur and I'm actually an investor as well. And I invest in tech companies. I started my journey with my own IT company. Started working in IT since I was 12 years old. So I've been in this domain for a really long time. Then decided to go towards the coach route and then started working along with businesses to see how we can scale them. And then once I learned that very well, then became an investor. And now my full-time job is acquisitions, selling, buying, and then managing or my core infrastructure. So I believe we were discussing with Jad when we met. We discussed about okay, what would be a benefit uh, for your audience to see what's gonna benefit them the most. And he was like, okay, I think one thing is to have them an understanding of what stops them from becoming $1 million agency. So I was like, okay, that's easy. That's doable. So I prepared a small presentation towards an identity and how we place our identity in terms of growth. So I would make it an interactive session, yeah, because I want you guys to learn as well at the same time. So feel free to pop in any questions you have, and you can always, raise your hands up, and I'm there to ask a question. So before we start, does anyone has any questions?
We're ready to roll, mate. We're keen as a bean.
All right, cool. So let me share. Um,
Let's see, Samantha.
can you see the presentation?
We can, mate. Take it away. If you can hear me,
Yep,
all
I can.
good.
All right. So all of us actually have an influence around us. And the matter of fact is what we need to understand is whether that influence is a positive influence or a negative influence. So let me give you an idea. So my glasses, so I wear these glasses. And obviously, the value for me for these glasses is my vision, right? Let me say, Fred, would you mind telling me what's your value related to glasses? So how do you feel? What's your glass relationship with your glass?
Well, without the glasses, I can't believe my own eyes.
That's right. And how about Brett? What's your input on this?
Well, the reason I wear glasses is because I started getting headaches spending too much time on my computer. So eventually, and I'm short-sighted, but eventually your vision goes the other way as you get older and older. So yeah, my arms got shorter and my computer screens got closer, so it started giving me headaches.
That's right. So did you all see that all of us actually have a different response towards that glass? Now, why exactly that? Now, if I keep picking up things which is lying in front of your table, you will have a different meaning attached to it. Now, it's good as long as the meaning towards that thing is positive. But what if anything which you have in your surrounding does not have a negative feeling? Like, you know, your something was gifted by X5 or something you didn't have a good memory of. Imagine every single time you go in front of that device or you're passing from that device, and that device just reminds you of something, and automatically you start feeling stress or you're not feeling very well. And you just can't imagine what's happening or why is it happening. So it's always the environment. Similarly, along with objects, we also have people. So as we have objects, we have people, we have the environment, all of them actually has a value attached to it. So the meaning you actually assign to those things is basically what creates that emotional response inside you. And then when that creates that emotional response, so we all have 5 emotions. So anger, hurt, fear, guilt. Anger, sadness, sadness, anger, fear, hurt, or guilt. All of these emotions actually you have all of these emotions stored inside you. And it has a value attached. So everything will have one of these emotions attached to it. Either it's a fear, either it's anger. And then the response which you basically has created is what limiting you from your growth. So, every now and then, have you seen when people, they hire coaches? What is the job of a coach? What do they do? They make sure that you're emotionally charged as well. Not only just physically fit, but they also emotionally charge you. So every time you're about to collapse, that's where they'll say you something which will boost that motivation inside you. So it actually has a clear meaning that every emotional response gives you the performance. And definitely it's your emotions which control. So, how often does that happen is that someone has told you something, and now you're just lying on the sofa for weeks, binge watching Netflix, a lot of times. So this is exactly what we need to focus on. We need to address. So the first option to start with, when we start, the first thing we need to look at is what is our influence, and with that influence, what is our emotion. So anyone has any questions here? All good?
We're all good at the moment, mate.
Great. Let's move on to the next one. So every second, there is around 180 million bits per second on information comes towards us. Let's do a small exercise, just to show you what exactly that means. Okay, I want all of you to look around in your room. And while you're looking around your room, can you count how many red things can you see in the room? Red things. Count red. Just the red. Red, red, red. Done? Right. All right. How many red things? Jared, how many did you find? 6, red, 3, Marcus 9, red 7, then 3, Samantha 4. Cool. So while you were looking for those red things, can anyone tell me how many were yellow? None. Don't look now. While you were looking for it. So see, that's the case. When I gave you the instructions of red, your brain filtered it towards that instruction and actually start looking only for that. How often that happens when you're planning to buy a car? When you're driving on the road, you will only see those cars. Because that's the one you're planning to buy, or that's the one you already have. So what normally happens is when our brain normally creates 180 billion bits per second information processed towards us, our brain generally creates filters based on our background, knowledge, culture, environment, influence. And what our brain does, it deletes, distort, generalize. So all the excess information which comes towards us gets destroyed, and only the one which we have the filters on gets through us. And then we see that information according to us. So for example, someone like I remember when I came to Australia in the very start, and I'm born in Dubai, so 60 degrees temperature, damn hot. So in the start when I came, and one of my mate just said, "Hey Matt, what a great weather today!" And it was what a shitty weather today, and it was actually raining outside. I'm like, "What do you mean? Such a great weather? It's raining." I'm like, "What? Are you new here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm from Dubai." So this is exactly what it is. So you put people in different situations and they perform differently. Why? Because of the filters. And that is the reason why sometimes, when we change environment, we change things, we change identities around us, helps us perform or do things better. So I believe Brett has a question. Oh, good. So going forward, what we need to understand is what are our filters? What is stopping us? What points are we focusing on? And why we're thinking to be $1 million agency? So why we are not there yet? Or if we are there yet, what's the next goal? And while we are not there yet, what is stopping it? What filters do we have on? What beliefs did I create it? So we need to understand when it comes towards the strategy of building that identity through those filters, that's where we need to identify. Now, in a very stronger run, you can basically, that leads towards the value system, that leads towards the memory system. Give me a second. I think my camera just have turned off.
We can still hear you too, mate. So you're good.
Yeah. So what believes towards the what creates the system around us is exactly why the filters which we have on. And while we are not able to achieve what we really want to achieve, we need to understand what filters do we need to turn on. All right. So filters basically creates the reality, and the mind filters everything we perceive, everything we understand, everything we make a decision on. I didn't change the slide at your place. Sorry. Good there. All right. So many agency owners basically blames it's actually the leads. That's why we're not able to grow. It's either the staff, time, or marketing, or lack of growth. The real limitation is actually not that. The real limitation is fear of delegation, failure, charging more or scaling up. So, how often does it happen? Or if I'm going to charge it, I know there are so many, there will always be a customer who's going to ask you, hey man, how much you going to charge? How much? Just tell me the amount. And they will always, shop around and get asking around. I know. But are they the right customers? Are they really the ones you're after? Now, a lot of people have that fear that if I'm going to charge more, the client might just move on to someone else. So of course, there's always a fear of charging that amount of, charging more. But have we considered what problem is that going to solve for the client? So for example, if my business is charging, if my business is losing sales and it's costing me $10,000 worth of sales every week, can I charge, if I give a solution for this problem, and the solution would hardly cost $40,000, would that be cheap? No. So it depends on the problem and the solution. So what solution solves what kind of problem? That's the value. The more bigger the problem, the more the money is. And if you understand this very well, that's where you get scale up quicker. Sometimes people have issues where I'm not sure if I'm going to deliver it right, or this does not seem to be perfect. All these fears becomes a challenge. Now, the limitation is always internal before it becomes external. So this is all which you're saying to yourself. You're saying it in your mindset. Hey man, I'm not sure if, sometimes people feel challenged to themselves. I'm not sure if this is the right solution. Maybe I should give option 3 as well. Or maybe I should give them option B. And okay, so option A, price this much, option B, price this much. And you just confuses the client. The client will just come say, man, I just need a solution for my problem, not all these options. And this happens a lot. Why? Because of our own mindset fears. How often I've walked into people and I've said, hey man, this is going to cost you $50,000, 20 hours job. That's it. And I've looked straight in their eyes. And they said, yep, all right, done. So our fear, what we have inside, if it's not addressed properly, the person on the other side of the table would actually pick it up. And that's the way how it responds. He will always respond whether things is the right price or not, based on how you are going to react after you deliver the price. Has BMW ever come and said, hey man, I know that our cars are expensive, but this is what it is? No. BMW knows the moment you walk into that showroom, you're walking into BMW. So all the salespeople know that what the price of that product would be. All right. Any questions so far? No?
No, mate. I just think this is good because it also touches on sales as well, right? With that mindset when you're going into having these conversations with people. I've seen a lot of people over the years where they talk themselves out of a sale because they don't believe in it themselves. And so I think the biggest thing is that belief system, like you're touching on there, because it's removing that ceiling to see the opportunity.
That's right. And basically, that's what it creates, that trap of owning your own ceiling. Like, your cap is what you hit. Your max is what you hit. And why discount us? Why discount yourself? Initially, I remember when I bought my first biggest company, which was at that time was around $20 million. And the moment I was planning to buy that company, I was shit scared. I was like, man, if something happens, I'm on the road. And my family is gonna be down. It's gonna be a nightmare. So this is gonna be a huge loss. And definitely 20 million, I can lose my house, I can lose my cars. Any small mistake can cost me that much. But at the end of the day, it was like, no, man, I have to do it. This is it. I'm happy to live on the street. I'm happy to live that kind of life. And when I created that mindset, okay, let me accept that and make exceptions in case even something goes, manage the risks. I take all the steps and then I went for it. So, and once I did it, of course, it was an easier thing after that. But before even doing that deal, I remember it took me just 2 months to get around my mindset. And that was the issue. So the key, so normally, depending on the situation, the situations, the first thing that comes to me, I never think that I cannot do it. The first thing is always do it. So, when you're hitting, I'm not sure if you guys have seen those boards they break in karate. So when you're heading towards the board, so the moment in your mind you think that you will not break the board will never get broken. So always when I'm thinking, it's always when I'm creating an action, it's like this is going to happen. Same thing with the board. When you're hitting the board and you're going towards it, I'm imagining in my head that the board has already broken and I've already hit that. So the first thing is always it's done. So before even going for that meeting, I already know that I'm gonna buy this company. The deal is not there, things are not there. This is the first meeting, but in my head, it's done. So this is the first thing to start with. It's positive. Second thing is always make the due diligence right, and always talk to people from the same industry. So experience in the same industry will always give you confidence and the understanding of, okay, all the steps are taken right. There might still be things which you will miss, but okay, it's not going to be that huge. So these things, three things, I make sure always they are there before I even go and apply. All right. So sometimes our strategy still fails, you know, environment still supports old habits and old ways of thinking. You have given a client who does not even have a CRM system, you've given a proposal and he does not understand the whole system. What can you do? It will still fail. Things can still go wrong. Sometimes people have an old way of doing things. I remember when I was working in my IT company. So my initial IT company, I started as an IT company, then I specialized providing services to medical centers. And I was shocked because it was around 2010, and I walked into a medical center and I offered him, hey, can I give you an IT company? Oh, sorry, can I give you an IT system? And I was like, I don't need IT. I'm sure you must need an IT. You might computers, you might have printers. And he was an old Chinese guy, and he was like, no, you can come, you can see all papers. And I was literally shocked. I was like, that's the first time I've ever seen an office, because now I'm 185. So all papers, and it was literally all papers. I was like, I can't do anything. So people always have things and they do it in a certain way. And if you're trying to break that strategy, it will be really hard. So before even proposing the solution, we need to understand what the current strategy is. How do they do things? How do they respond to things? What is their current way of thinking before even offering them a solution? Because it's so important that whatever they have from the past will always override to what you're offering. And change is always not easy. But what if the change is proposed in a similar way, which is similar to the old strategy? Then it's easier to accept. So it's very important for us to understand what the previous habits are and how are they used to it. Okay, so once you understand the strategy part, then we understand what is ours. Okay. All right, can you see the slides, or is it still?
Yeah, mate, we can see the slides.
You can see the slide. I'll leave it like that, and in the end, I'll switch on that.
Sure.
With the concept of success circle, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of success circle. Has anyone heard of success circle before? No? Okay, so for example, imagine we have a circle around us, and in the first circle which we have are the immediate people which we relate to. So you're probably our wives, kids. We have that in the first. Then we create another circle, third circle. In that third circle, we have our extended family, brothers, sisters, and so things goes on, depending on the relationships we have with families. These circles shapes what we are today. And I said initially, your filters gets built with the culture. So the concept was actually driven from success circles, where what we normally see is the kind of people you hang around with is what define what kind of person you are. And this way, I think, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this before. If you want to be successful, start hanging around people who are successful. And that's the easier way to become successful, right? Why is that? And it's true. Why? Because those people's influence circles will actually influence your circles. And that creates that system where you have developed your identity in that. It has happened so many times that we initially, when I started working, like when I started as a micropreneur businesses, I used to hang around in a referral business system called BNI. Has anyone heard of BNI before? Yeah. So it's a referral system. You give leads to each other businesses. So that's where I started my, the micropreneur business journey. And I used to go every week. We used to meet, we used to stand and talk about our business and exchange leads. So that going there every week gave me that discipline which I needed for my business, plus also the confidence to talk about my business. But again, it also told me where and what level I am, because I was watching other people, I was watching what they are doing and what I'm doing, and that would give me that standing to tell, okay, where am I? So success circle basically creates the identity which you want to be. So if you really want to be that $1 million agency, guess what kind of circles you need to be around? The one above $1 million. And you need to hang around them. So make sure what they believe, what their thought processes is, what they do, the way, how do they think, how things they change, what are their patterns, what are their strategies, and then you inbuild that into yourself, and it helps you grow further. Okay. So the growth requires changing the culture around you, not just your plans and your goals. So it definitely requires the whole environment, the whole success circles, the whole strategies, all of that needs to be influenced from the ones who have already achieved it. Hope. Any questions? No. Let's move on. Great. So either I'm explaining very well or you don't have questions because, you guys are doing something else.
No, I love it, mate. You're doing great.
All right. So design your future identity. So this is something which is very important now. So we understood the concept of, what sort of influence we required, what success circles, what are strategies, how our decisions are done, how can we manage fear. Now, once we understand all of this, what do we want to be? So stop asking questions of, okay, who am I? And just start asking, who do I want to become? So what do I want to become? Set goals on what I want to be. Define the beliefs and the habits and influence of $1 million agency. So what sort of beliefs do you think they will have? And what sort of habits do they have? Influences. Consider that. And you need to integrate that within yourself. And then make decisions every day as future version of yourself, which you are becoming. So, for example, the first initially when I was just doing $1 million revenue at that time, my goal was to generate $20 million revenue. And at that time, my hourly rate was $66,000 an hour. And I used to write that on my hand. And I used to act like it. So act in the sense of that literally my hourly worth was $66,000 an hour. So if my wife used to say, hey, can you go and get some groceries done? I was like, all right, let me do Uber for you. And she was like, huh? Uber, it's going to cost the delivery. So I don't care. I'm not going to be paying $66,000 for the groceries. And she's like, what? What do you mean $66,000? Yes, yeah, my hourly rate is $66,000 an hour. So if I'm going to do grocery and it's going to be at least an hour, it's going to cost us $66,000. So that mindset immediately automatically started, having car cleaners in my house, pool cleaners, gardeners, and then all of that things around me got started automated and started delegating this to the other people. So understanding and giving that value. So understanding the future time value of yourself and then integrating that with what you currently have. Start acting like that, like you have it already. So I remember in my weight goal, when I have a weight goal to lose certain amount of weight. So I actually went and paid $5,000 for a suit, which was not my current size, but my future size. And of course and I had that suit hanging, I still have it hanging in front of me. And that suits give me that motivation to, I still need to lose weight because I need to, make sure that I'm going to be wearing that $5,000 suit. So this is exactly the kind of things which you can do with your current situations to make sure that your future version is coping up with that. All right. So the simple growth formula. So the simple growth formula is change your circle, change your filters. Change your beliefs, change your identity. Change your decisions, and that will change your results. Every transformation, basically, every single transformation starts within one shift at a time. Make changes one by one. So I actually have a 90-day action checklist. Can you see the checklist? Yeah. So the first part of the checklist is do an audit influences. So review your daily environment, identify the people, content, and habits that reinforce limiting beliefs, and replace them with growth and growth oriented inputs. Second thing is success circles. Identify the three new mentors, find three new mentors or peers or communities that reflects the identity you are building. Begin engaging with them this way. Then the third part is reframe your beliefs. So write down your top 3 limiting beliefs about your agency. So whatever the limiting beliefs you have, write them down. Of course, be honest to yourself. Otherwise, they're not going to work. Challenge each one. And with evidence, replace it with an empowering belief. So if I'm not able to, so I can't do this, or I can't charge $5,000 for automation. So that's a limiting belief, correct? Change it. I will charge $5,000 for automation, and these are the reasons. Understand the value and create an empowering value on it and attach. Now, the fourth one, CO action. Take one deliberate action each week that your future CEO self would take. Delegate, raise prices, say no, or invest in growth. So delegate your things. You can raise your prices as well to make sure if you're charging the right price or not. Of course, we have every year, even in our companies, throughout every year, my finance team goes through the prices and then they raise the prices of what we charge to our client in the IT side of it, because of course our cost goes up as well and the inflation is there. So you can always also have an yearly review system in your business if you have not raised your prices for a really long time. Now, the future identities. Write a clear description of a $1 million agency owner you're becoming. So write that whole thing. If you are becoming a $1 million agency, what's the whole description for it? Define their beliefs, the habits, the decisions, and the daily actions required to be one. So it's very important. And then last but not the least, you do not become successful and then change. You change first and success follows. Your beliefs shape your identity. Your identity shapes your decisions. Your decisions shapes your agency. Your agency grows when your identity grows. Thank you, everyone. All right. See if I can go under what does.
He's back.
All right.
Mohammed, that was fantastic, mate. I kind of had out of the whole thing, I liked everything that you're breaking down. I got to the last part where you were talking about the future identity, right? And you're talking about breaking it down and the beliefs and things like that. I guess when you're looking at that, regardless of whether it's $1 million, $2 million, whatever, how far are you breaking that down? How granular are you going with setting a goal that might be, a mindset of being something or a revenue goal of, trying to reach that? Because I know that I've spoken to a lot of people and they're like, oh yeah, I want to make $1 million, but sometimes it's not actually $1 million that they want to make. They just want to be able to take home 200,000, 400,000 every financial year. And so I guess when you're looking at that, how do you talk to people about breaking that down?
So normally, we
Oh,
always,
and before you answer, Marcus has asked if you can stop presenting which,
yeah,
so then we can see everyone. That
I'm
means
trying,
Marcus must be here turning his camera on too somewhere. There he is. Yep.
I'm trying to turn it off. It's not giving me the option.
No?
I'm not sure why. Click on share and then it says second.
Did
Yeah.
that fix it? There we go.
Fixed it. Yeah.
You've just got something over your face now. It looks like your GoPro.
Oh, good.
Sweet. So yes, before I interrupted there, just talking about that final piece, about that future identity, like how granular are you going with that?
So we always break it down to daily steps and then to weekly steps. So for example, if I have a $20 million goal, the $20 million goal, first thing, the vision flows in the whole company. And then when the vision flows in the whole company, it flows it on how much we're going to do on monthly basis, and then how much we're going to do weekly basis, and how long. And then once we break down to that level, that's where we create the actions. Okay, this is how much we need to do on regular basis. And definitely then the team gets assigned. So yes, the action gets broken up to daily basis actions.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. And I like when you're talking about having the mindset and acting it out and writing down the figure on your hand. I even dropped in a comment because all I've been doing is dropping robots into my house. That white box to the side just there is like a window cleaner that I got yesterday. And it's basically because I've lived in this house for a while. I can't even remember when I cleaned the windows, but it's been something that I'm like, I just want something that will easily do that. So, after I got a vacuum that's been running around my house for like the last 5 weeks, I'm like, what else can I get that just makes life easy? And Brett's already given the thumbs up. So, he clearly has experience there. But like we have amazing dogs, which you can see in the background. Now we don't even worry about the fur and stuff like that, and it's not something where it's like, oh, when I get out of the office, I've got to then jump into all those things. It's having that mindset of let's put things in place so I don't have to worry about that. And that was something that really stood out to me in the presentation today.
Oh, that's great.
I think it's a reminder. I also loved how you said you put it on your hand, because I think we just forget these things so easily and fall back into old patterns, and it's just the hardest part is remembering your new pattern and trying to keep doing it. So then it becomes your new self and not your old self again.
One thing I wanted to share as well, like this was really big because it hit me really bad. I'm also when I'm investing into businesses, I also coach my business partners as well. So apparently there were 4 people who I was dealing with, and they were they were about to be my business partners, and all 4 of them actually messed up really big. And that created such a big mess because in my head, I started thinking, oh man, every single person is like that. And I was just not going. So there was a deal happening, and I wanted to sign that deal. It was a $5 million deal, and it was supposed to be signed within a week itself. And I was not able to sign it at all. I was so afraid to sign that deal. And I just had and I've done that so many times before. So I was like, I had no idea why am I not doing it. And suddenly when my mindset coach came on, he was like, this is the reason why you're doing this. Because my thing was, everyone cannot do this. Every single person cannot handle it. And so you kind of build that mindset around yourself. And this was such a big learning of my life. It did cost me a lot, but it's a good learning to have to say, all right, this is something really. So the identity of what we form in ourselves is sometimes not because of what we are or what we want to be. Sometimes it's a reflection of what other people are imposing on us.
Mm,
And that's why this circle of influence matters a lot.
yeah.
What about people that you're dealing with, Mohammed? Like, if say you're doing these deals and you've got someone on the other side of the table, how are you? Because sometimes it's a mindset thing for them to even feel comfortable to say yes. And so I know we're talking about you purchasing a business as an example, or an asset, but this also applies to agency owners that are literally working with people day to day that then become their own bottleneck with saying yes to you, even though you've carried out the discovery, you've found the challenges, you've highlighted how you're going to alleviate some of that pain, all those challenges, and then they become the bottleneck in saying yes. And sometimes it's even, especially from a marketing game, it's where they've been burnt by someone else, and they're trying to feel comfortable again. They're trying to trust someone again, but they get to that point where it starts to feel a bit uncomfortable because there's about to be that exchange. You know, do you have any tips or insights on your experiences where you have been able to help people overcome that?
See, normally, I've seen that many times as well. And the best, it's always about the other person. It's not about yourself. It's always about the client and what he wants and how is he comfortable. So the moment you start asking questions, you will actually figure it out if he has experienced that before or not. And if you see that, yes, there was some situation which was in the past and which was not a great experience for them, then try to identify a strategy of what and things how they do. So try to find, okay, so I know you had a problem with this person. The one which you had before that, what was your experience with them or how did you go with it? And see if there's a strategy around that space. So if they have a strategy built for every vendor they have recruited on board, ask them about the successful ones as well. Within that, you can pick up that strategy and then you offer your solution exactly like that.
Yeah.
70% of the time, your deal will then go through.
I
And
often
even from
find
a marketing point of view, Jared, people tend to think that marketing is like advertising, and all you're trying to do is prove how good you are and why your product should be used.
yes.
They forget that there's another side of it. And let's take weight loss as a really easy example. It's not just about whether P90X, which is a full-on extreme way of losing weight and getting fit, works or not. It's about whether the person seeing that marketing thinks they could do that. What is their belief system about could they actually do that? And when you're talking to an organization, they have to believe, can their organization actually use your services or the tools in order to get the things that you say you can do? It's not just about the tool itself, it's about their belief systems and what they think they're capable of. And sometimes you really have to delve into what they're thinking about.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I remember years ago I had an optometrist, and I was working with a few different optometrists at the time, getting good results. And even though it was funny, even though we're able to show them the previous results of stuff that we'd done, they were like, "I see what you're saying, I can see how it can work, but I've just had such a bad experience with that last person that I just can't do it." And I guess the only reason why I bring this up is I had this conversation brought up and it reminded me of this story yesterday. So it's still front of mind, thinking about when it happened. But I just find that really interesting, right? Because there's some people I just go, well, if they're not able to work themselves past that, like I've just got to let them be. But I was just curious to know if anyone's had experiences where they've worked with helping people through those challenges. Because it's not an easy thing to do. There's times where you can do it, and then there's just other times that feel impossible. And you see these things where you're like, fuck, this could really help them. This could really change the way this is going. And sometimes they see it like, shit, this could really help me. And they just can't take the next step. Has anyone else had that, or am I just weird?
Yeah. Mate, you get it all the time. The reality is that, like Mohammed's just gone through it, like those limiting beliefs, that mindset of, it's not for me, whatever it might be. Some people are just going to be like that. Some people are early adopters and some people are not. And Mate, all you've got to do is love them. Well, it's bloody hard. You know, you go, oh shit, I'll just go and find an easier client. I'll give you one really key thing. Don't just give up on those people. You'll be surprised at how many of those, because they don't early adopt, they actually become some of your best clients long term.
Yeah.
Because once they do have the breakthrough, they go, shit, you looked after me and you cared and you nurtured me, you didn't push hard, you didn't try and sell me. And they eventually get it. And when they eventually get it, they become your best clients. They become raving fans. And that's what's happened in my case. I've had some clients literally be like $50, $100 clients just doing a website hosting or something like that, become tens of thousands of dollar clients 3, 4, 5 years later.
Mm.
When they find,
it's not just about problem, it's time as well. Is it the right time for them?
It's the timing, and it's all about the timing, and it's still about. We all sit here and talk about AI and think like it's nothing, but what we don't realise is there's a hell of a lot of people out there just shit scared of it.
Mm.
Yeah, change management's massive with AI. You've got to have change management as part of the process, or it's
Absolutely. It's an interesting conversation, because we're doing 2 proposals at the moment for 2 different clients that basically, one of them is losing money, the other one is quite profitable, but could be 4, 5, 10 times more profitable than they are. Like I run a management consultancy that we also work with GHL, and we do some IT work as well. And they're both complaining of being overwhelmed, not having enough time, and simple changes can completely change their lives and completely change their business. Like it's not actually a hard piece of work for us to move the lever for these guys. But the conversation with them is, well, I understand that you're overwhelmed, but if you don't actually make some time to change, you're always going to be overwhelmed. So it's like, how do we help those people through that process?
The key to that, I love that, Mike. The key really is meeting them where they're at, not just because we know that we can help them doesn't mean we're just going to meet them where they're at. And one of the biggest things that's been a game changer just in this last couple of weeks since Gary done that session, and if you haven't seen the session that Gary done on Victor, do it, because it's just one of those things that a lot of us always use Slack. And a lot of companies use Slack, so they're familiar with that. And it just becomes an easy step into AI agents. And just giving them that piece. And the other one that I mentioned myself a little while ago, Ask Alex, which is an emotional intelligence sort of driven thing you can put inside of Claude as an MCP, is that for me has been revolutionary in the language I communicate. Because people are not there. And if you combine Ask Alex and Victor to go through and actually, examine all your emails to this particular person, you'll soon get a response that actually makes sense rather than
Is it Alice or Alex?
Ask Alex. It's in one of my go to the Facebook page, and there's a link in one of my chats to it a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to do another session on it pretty soon. So it's a freaking excuse the French. It's fucking awesome.
Excellent. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. The question is even with those products, it's like how do we help people get over that hump of the extra work that's going to then save them?
Yeah.
The time.
I don't know, for me, I've always said let's just start small. Because I think I said, this is a possibilities, but let's just start very small. What's the smallest thing we can do? And then they kind of all right, sure. And then I think once you've got them in that momentum, or you get them in the door and they start seeing small things, and then they go, oh, okay, now we're kind of getting what you're talking about. So let's stage it out. Let's do it very small to begin with. So you're not losing time. So at least we're doing something.
Yeah, I've changed my for the bigger jobs. I've changed my thing from, even though we talk if they're detail oriented, we can talk about all the things we can do for the business.
Yeah.
But I don't say, okay, now we're going to do it all. I go,
Mm.
in month 1, we're going to do this. And in month 2, we'll do this. And not only does that stop overwhelm, but it increases stickiness and stops churn because they see things moving all the time and adding, and it gives them a
Progression.
story to add that stuff on there. So instead of asking for all that money up front, it also is an
Yeah.
investment on trust as you go along.
Yeah. Actually, I even used it for another recent client because she was starting to talk about, oh, well, I wanted to do a podcast and I wanted to do this. And I'm like, remember we agreed this year is just about getting you started in da-da-da-da-da. And then once you're sorted in that, then next year we'll go that. She's like, oh, yeah, that's right. Yep. Okay, great. Because, just start flying off in all directions.
Yeah, nice.
That's great.
And it's very much about who they are as well. Like you get some people who just want to jump off a cliff without a parachute. And you get other people that just want to wade in with their toes and that's it. So you've just got to do what they want to do. So you can't push them. I mean, you can sometimes, but it's pretty rare. So, yeah.
It was interesting, right? Because the person that joined us today, I've spoken to him a couple of times. Just for example, like the last time I spoke to him probably was at the Small Business Expo in Tassie here, and we finally got on a call. He's rescheduled 3 times to jump on this call today. And I was like, man, this guy's just busy. And you look at his stories, he's everywhere. He's opening up new branches. There's a lot going on there. And you're like, the guy's just busy. He's like, all right, so what are we talking about today? I'm like, mate, you booked this call. What do you need help with? And he's like, well, let's recap things. And I went, look, Google Business Profile Optimization, voice agents, chat agents. He's like, right, jump into the voice agents and chat agents, what I think I need. And away he went. And anyway, get to it. He's like, sweet, yep, no worries. So we'll do that. I'm like, mate, you don't even have the price yet. He's like, no, don't need the price. I already trust you. I already know that you're going to take care of it. You already hear what I'm trying to do. And, that's just like the best scenario to be in. I gave him the price, of course, afterwards. But yeah, it's just nice to be able to have that. Then I've got another client that's over in Canada. Same thing. It's like, guys, super excited to be working with you again. This is my project I want to work on. Here's a Loom video breaking it all down. And, it's one of those things where, in your mind, you sometimes think your mindset needs to go, well, this person's been with us a while, like, do we start bringing in discounts or trying to add more value into it? And it's like, well, no, like, you don't need to get into your own head. It's actually been working really well this entire time. And he's really happy. You can already see in the messages and in the Loom video, this bloke's already really happy. You don't need to go above and beyond even further than that, and so same thing again, like sent through the invoice, paid, team are in there, start working away.
Jared, you're already giving him more. You're just not aware of it. By the service that you give people, and I mean you, not other people, you go above and beyond to help your clients, and they're aware of that. So you don't have to give them a discount because they're paying for you and your service, and you're already giving them a good service. So you don't have to do anything else. They're happy because of what you're giving them.
That's
already.
right. 100%. It's just interesting because everyone's got that famous imposter syndrome, right? And even Kerwin Ray back in 2016 would always talk about imposter syndrome. And, it's like, oh, maybe I like, why am I even doing this? I should be cutting my prices, or I should be like going down this whole new path. It's like, no, bring it back. Don't fall into that. It's almost like falling victim to it. So this is why it's been nice to have you on, Mohammed, because it's just that Northern Star to remind you to be there. Even the conversation today reminded me of the multiple times that I've done UPW with Tony Robbins, and even just talking about getting into your state, right? And making you move. If anyone's familiar with that, I'm pretty sure almost everyone would be. But even that, it's like, oh, when was the last time I did that? Or even priming was something that was shown. It's like, when was the last time I did that? Normally it's when I've got a heap of stuff on. It's like, I think I need a good vent with this. And then I just like pop it up on YouTube, bust it out. And then, it's like, oh, cool, we're back.
That's a perfect example of people need to believe that they can do it in order to do it. And I'm not saying Tony Robbins stuff isn't good. I love it. So I'm not, but if he wasn't good at making people feel like they can change their beliefs and actions, he couldn't
Yes.
sell all his courses at the end of that to people who wanted to take the next step and have that other thing and da da da. He's literally changing their beliefs and believing that they can do it while he does it. He's an incredibly good salesperson, actually.
And then you become like Muhammad's basically shown us all, getting to your million so that you can take that million to do Tony Robbins' $1 million course that he does. Where they have the bit of red carpet out.
Muhammad,
Yes.
how long was your journey, like to rags to riches, if you like to call it that? How many years for you to embrace your new self and change?
My complete change journey started 6 years back.
6?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh.
That's radical change.
Yeah, within 6 years, I became from a normal business person to an investor.
And what was the turning point? Like, what made you, like, what was the thing? Or was there anything? Or is this a culmination of everything?
It was just, I wanted to help someone. And I realized initially when I came to Australia, and I was on a student visa, I was standing in front of KFC, and people who are born in Dubai, they have a very strong attachment towards KFC. They love
Really?
Yeah. So I was standing in front of KFC actually, and I had no money to buy
Wow.
the KFC, and I couldn't, I couldn't even ask someone to. So that was my first turning point, which changed me to get into business. And when
Wow.
I came into business, I really wanted to help someone, and they were in need, and I didn't have enough money to support them. And that's where I said, I need at least 500K to help, and that's where it started. The goal went up to 20 million. The first goal of revenue was 20 million. Then to achieve the 20 million, then I changed the whole mindset. Then I went through all these trainings. So yeah,
Wow.
it started from there. Now it's above 100 million now. That's my next one.
That's remarkable.
Bloody awesome, mate.